Tell you that don't park next door. If you did, you need to go move your car fast. And please be quiet. And there's a new no smoking rule at Helios. So please respect the rule. And to make it a little easier for everybody, if you could try to go in and out between poems. Makes it a little better. Okay, so that's it for this evening. Stevenson.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate everybody who came out in the rain and the cold. I'm gonna, I guess I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I know a lot of people here in the room, but I've been reading poetry here at Helios for about 4 or 5 years now, writing for a little while. I'm a university student here in Houston. I like wine, jacuzzis, cheese grits, girls with big noses. Don't ask why. Tonight, I'll read a collection of poems that's called Porch Lights. A lot of these poems in the series are dedicated to dear friends of mine and memories, quaint little things that happen. There's a preface, but I'm just going to read y'all the first and last sentence because that kind of gives you the gist. Somewhere between the immemorial and everlasting, we'll have those quaint and unforgettable memories which seemingly at once serve no purpose, but nevertheless stick like a gecko's foot in the back of our minds. By breaching into what was before thought to be trivial fixations, allows the careful inspection of metaphor and irony that dilates into the grandeur of the universe. This first poem is called Elysiums Beneath the Power Lines. It's several poems within one, and it's about the art of writing and inspiration. Let my haven be in broken spots, that wallow in the night behind intersections rife with headlights, flashing by as I, under the canopy of a bridge, paint my canvas while the broken glass, which litters the pavement, mimics the sidereal skies. The luminous roar of freight trains and dollar wine serve as muses, infecting my senses with inspiration enough to send words flying against the wall like wooden desks. Lo, it was under falling October's leaves I penned autumn's first night. The man in the moon now hides in beer cans and storm drains, showing his wicked old smile only to dog bones in the brush, lying and waiting to disappear over early November curses. Later, I would retell of tapping my pen on the old railroad ties for spells of inspiration as freights barreled south. Full of sulfur I could taste on my blistered lips. On top of the central square, an abandoned building, the towers over the entire block of Travis and Webster, I burned a pack of Camels and took in the street below. An old whore beats her pimp in front of Central Square, across from Joe's sandwich shop. The sun is relentless, yet still only May, as the street girl removes a sequined belt and lashes at her man for lying on the sidewalk, half dead from a hot midday fix. Under an overpass, the bayou, a deep murky milk chocolate cut through my symmetry with bums, rustling under newspapers. I thought of sadness, throwing bottles, huffing steam. I found the words to Lucretius's dilemma. Loneliness is an inexhaustible little bird, perched on her overpass, endlessly dropping bird shit on all those passing. Under palm trees, resting over the pits and ruins of the demolished Holiday Inn ballroom, I kick rocks along the faulty foundation and curse mistakes. The wind in common for Atara. Under Kingzu, the eternal waves, rolling in millions, ravish the shore. The flowers and the dunes make their way into satchels. We bathe in joy, cleansing our bodies with sweet pollen. September, to know thirst, how we crave hunger. The juices run a fet into our cavities. I smoke by the shore and contemplate the wind. A funny thing to be a messenger when there's nothing to save, but no! To be a little thief and whisper in her earlobe. This is Prelude to Adultery for Grace. My eyes rest easy in your garret. Your kisses come to me in riddles with answers I fear I'll never know, prefabricating the heavy breathing. You are an incandescent immortelle, forcefully blooming in my fingers, thorns in my neck, sweat in my palms, noticing my fatal misspellings, quietly. 12 years between seconds together, I forced myself against your opposition, quelling all doubts of infidel narcotics, your olive oil dripping off my tender lip. My fingers lapse into your indelible nape, a staircase leading me to your sensorium. I close my eyes and find my way by touch, never knowing the way, but right half the time. This poem is untitled. It's for my friend Matt P. right here, who's operating the camera, and it's actually a true story that was just something that stuck in my mind for a long time. My downstairs neighbor, Matt's closet, was mostly full of clothes he never wears. Cheap suits and surf t-shirts, sweaters from Grandma and Walmart jackets. Fingering through the copper hangers, one must wonder when Matt went shopping last. Matt has this favorite pair of blue jeans that caught on fire when we were camping in the enchanted forest one night that lies behind the Bermuda Triangle, which is the actual name of our apartments. He was feeding trash wood into the fire when enigmatically the cuff at the bottom of his jeans, upon a winter breeze, burst into flames that began to swiftly travel up his pants leg. "Stop, drop, and roll!" I screamed to him. Later, after the fire had been put out, Matt was sitting on a log, soaking wet with beer and covered in dirt. He thanked me. Right now, Matt is probably at the television studio or finished working and at the late night pie, drinking Lone Star, eating slices of pepperoni pizza, and chances are he's still wearing the same jeans. And there's a little asterisk that says, "This accusation was indeed later confirmed." This poem is called Existence for Sake. It's sort of a play on like metaphor and irony and all those great things. A girl named Amy cheated on her boyfriend one night with me. She smuggled B-cups under a baggy padded sea brassiere, and then as I studied her by light, it must have been spring. Remembering the smell of honeysuckles outside my mother's window, sweet trembling breezes of midnight, I asked her what was so bad that deserved being cheated on, just to know. "His apartment," she moaned. "It always smelled of cat piss and menthol cigarettes." I lied on the wood floor while she finished me and thought about the equator. Drawing imaginary lines can be useful. Midnight Fiesta. On a Friday night, I was with a girl. We were on a midnight date. After our dinner of tapas and vino together, we went for sweet white wines at the Spanish supermarket near the Bermuda Triangle. It was then I noticed 4 young Indian men of their 20s huddled together and milling around the international frozen food section. It was then I knew that this is how we fight loneliness. Variation on Roman, and by that, this is a variation of a Rimbaud poem titled Roman, which is French for novel. And this is dedicated to David Lejeune, who's been a good friend and a good poetic inspiration of mine for the last few years I've been reading here. 1. We're way too serious when we're 23. One dark evening, to hell with dinner and picture shows, well-lit restaurants and crowded hipster bars. We binge drink on the steps of cluttered Montrose apartments. The floors are sticky in the humid June afternoons, and at times the room is so smoky that our eyes water. The walls rattle with sound. The drag isn't far, having the stench of burnt tires and dumpster bilge. There you can see saddled brick walls. of dull shades smeared with indecipherable streaks, tagged up by a graffiti artist that melts in heavy Rusto drips, broad, semi-gloss black. Night in June, 23 years old, we grow a fet with it all. The stench becomes 100 proof and goes to our head. We listen aloof and feel a hand between our legs, rolling on our backs like an old dog. Our tired heart moves through ballads by Tom Waits, when, under the awning of a metro bus stop, a street girl goes by forlorn and dolorous, under the shadow of her pimp's terrible trench coat. And she finds you dauntlessly impudent. While clacking your soiled platform shoes, she turns sluggishly and in a diffident manner. Much later, the cavatinas swell in your lips. You are in desolation. You're apoplectic until the month of April. You are desolate. Your sonnets all fall flat. You find unity in desolation. You are its progenitor. Then one dawn, the girl you despise deigned to call you. That evening, you return to the fancy cafes. You ask for martinis or espresso. We're way too serious when we're 23, and when we have drinking spells in wretched places. Thank you. This is Blackouts. It's for my dear friend Tony. Wish he could be here. Tony Pat is on his 5th cognac snifter of Remy. In our drunken juxtaposition, I find the nerve to ask him. The tall girl with long black braids. She was proof, I say. Did you smash? Tony sneers and replies, the gentleman never tells. But Tony, didn't you drink that entire bottle of 151? I recall and breathe heavy liquor. Perhaps don't you mean a gentleman never remembers? The bubbles from the jacuzzi create suds around the edges, petite balls of white foam and swirling sponges of pearly white, as if we trapped the restless Mexican Gulf in an ellipse. This very short piece, there's a few like this in the collection. It's entitled Definitions, and this was a response to a writing assignment where I had to create a definition for poetry. Are you the hairs that stand at attention on the back of my neck when I experience the juxtaposition of language I never imagined? Are you truth compounded upon truth, birthing beauty, so much like the burning elements which bore our first brilliant stars? Requiem for a Stranger, and this is for Andy. True story once again. Once, during a party, Andy kicked a stranger out of his apartment for disrespecting his cat. The stranger's name, I would later inform him, was Steve, who found it quaintly amusing to expel a foul and lengthy burp in the cat's face. Apologize to my cat, Andy had demanded. Steve, at first believing Andy to only be joking, was amused by the strange and humbling request. It's just a cat, he must have said. But Andy thought he knew better and used his fist to break the stranger's pride. Ironic and funny it is to see a grown man on all fours bow before a cat and snivel. And this piece is followed with a series of 3 pieces about an old neighbor of mine, which was quite a character. And the first one also involves a cat. Rick's pet cat. It's not that Rick's a bad neighbor. He just tries to give his cat swimming lessons in the apartment pool, all the while with a beer in one hand and his infant son harnessed to his chest. Rick's first marriage. It's not that Rick's a bad husband. He just passed out cold from dehydration on the brick patio, from drinking vodka shots to warm his cold feet when he got married by the apartment pool. Rick's last detox. It's not that Rick's a bad tenant. He only tried to burn down the apartments when he saw the Virgin Mary in his liquor cabinet.
Sorry, Rick.
Trust. Sometimes we need be reminded of the conference of trust, like blowing smoke in a dark room, to truly know it only wafers in the air. This is type is for hire, it's for Faithy. Andy runs a small business out of his dumpy apartment in the Main Street corridor. It's Tuesday night and he fires his secretary for eating tortilla chips all day and using up all his precious toilet paper. Drinking at my dining room table, he snatches up a yellow post-it pad and pen to make a list of qualifications for his future secretary. 1, he writes, eat my ass. 2, he scribbles, type my balls. 3, lick my bedspread. 4, Andy coughs and takes a swig of Grand Amber. Poop in my mouth. Then, lunch? I ask, smiling rather politely. Lunch, 15 minutes. Another season in hell. Jealous of Rimbaud, the little orange and white cat steps with both paws into the open spread of his collected works and nuzzles a wet nose against the poet's chest. This is an untitled poem. It's for Nacho, who's a busboy at my work, and I don't know, it's probably like the poem that I wrote that has the most Houston feel to it. Light falls through the arms of trees, serene oaks brooding over the neat grass. In a sunbeam, a lawnman blisters on his austere hands, sweats a furious grin as cars pass. Let it be noon. The taco trucks troll the streets. The smell of sweet meat and roasting corn wafers through the dusky alleys. Pineapple soda and roasted peppers greet the workers. Let us take cool naps under the canopy of leaves. Let us drink cerveza as cars fret and honk. A short, Pueblo-looking woman brings great aluminum-wrapped bundles of warm tamales. We sleep. Sleep is the time of the body. Lay waste to toil, give stake to the eternal dreams of immortality. Vicarious we are, when napping under the protection of an oak's crest. Watching the rain from work. Poseidon has stolen the chariot of the gods and is riding high over downtown Houston. He throws low lightning bolts of sleet and torrential rain as I, having nothing more fascinating to behold, watch in poignant content. A happy couple caught without an umbrella run through the chaotic downpour. Laughing, the young lady loses her shoe in a puddle. Giddy as children at first, they soon become miserably soaked in sheets of precipitation. The gentleman holds his hands above his lover's head to form a useless makeshift umbrella, as if it were any consolation. A lightning bolt strikes the chase tower, and Poseidon lets out a thunderous and wicked laugh to languish in the streets that soon become petite rivers, shaking rainwater off my shoe. I dream of drinking Costa Rican coffee, blended with the breast milk of a virgin. As the rain pours down in sheets of forlorn fascination, it seems that life is rife with impossibilities. Gregory Corso's story for Elise Stone. A solemn light plastates on her naked brow. Zephyr breezes rustle the poetic chamber of my mind. Ivy entangles the brick lattice so much like her ebony crown. We sip beneath the sidereal canopy of the night sky, rife with champagne and blushing smiles. Together we wear nothing but bathrobes. In the courtyard, laughing at the sheer beauty of a poem, Allen Ginsberg describing Gregory Corso's story of undressing in a New Hampshire night on his last visit with a girl he once loved. I would always paddle with a wooden ply, he had said. And so we took quiet paces towards each other. Enamored by the coming dawn, she opened the flap of her black silk robe. I couldn't help but turn my back, victim to innate bashfulness. I at once turned back around, letting my own robe open. We stood a good 20 seconds, childishly examining each other's form. What about the neighbors? She had asked upon my proposal. They don't know poetics from indecent exposure, I replied. Last stale sip, I am courteously reminded of the cautiousness of such romantic, idealistic thinking. Unfortunately, Tree reminds me, we cannot expostulate reality. I ponder my failed argument in a room resembling a hallway. Much like my setting, there is only one way out. I light a cigarette. Reality becomes my fortune. I drink another beer to escape it. More reality, more problems. Missing you. As I sat under the awning of the full moon on a stale porch somewhere in Lower Gomorrah, I thought of your delectable nape, the sheer smell of your delicate lip trembling against mine. I found Venus in the sky and remembered spying her from the jetties, knowing your touch in the face of the luminous winds. And oh, I found no solace in gin, no desire in the night, no idea